It's cloudy weather coming in. It's actually sprinkling right now, and I'm going to try to get a cover crop fields planted to take advantage of this soil moisture. I'm Rob from Dowdle Family Farms. In our area of North Mississippi, we have a difficult time sometimes planting our cool season crops so that they actually get a good start before the cold weather really sets in. Fall moisture is a huge issue for us because August and September, even October, tend to be very dry. If you've watched our channel much, you probably know that for our warm season cover crops that tend to be larger seeded, especially in new fields, we have a tendency to have to lightly disc the top inch or two of the soil and cover those seeds up so they get enough moisture so that they grow and germinate really well. However, in many of our fall crops, if the soil conditions are right, we can just broadcast the seed, especially in soil moisture like today. Let me also say that I'm in the process of figuring this all out now, so take everything with a grain of salt. But in our area, I don't know many people that have a lot of experience no-tilling without a no-till drill, but also getting good cover crops in the ground. For us, it's really important because we feed our fall cover crops to our livestock, especially our pigs. And so it's important that we get a good start on them. Let's go take a look at the soils and see what they look like. The ground that you see right here is just part of our pasture that's been grazed. It's got perennial weeds, perennial grasses, and I generally do not have very good success when trying to no-till into this without a no-till drill. I found that when we have a lot of perennial grasses, we normally have to lightly disc the top of the soil to prepare the soil for those annual cover crops. Where we do have a little bit more success is over here where the pigs are, because we've grown annual warm season cover crops here. The sorghum Sudan grass out here, the pigs have grazed it really hard. It was very tall, and after the pigs have grazed it, or even cows, there's a lot of open space on the ground because the sorghum Sudan grass does not form a very dense sod. Now right here is teosinte in the back, and right here in the foreground is where the forage soybeans were, and the pigs grazed the forage soybeans well. But even here you can see that there's material on the ground, but there's still a lot of open space for those small seeded cover crops to go on and take off and grow really well. So what I'm finding is if I go on and overseed this field with a cover crop while it's raining, a lot of times the brassicas, the ryegrass, some of the clovers, as long as there's a little bit of soil moisture and as long as there's a little bit of mulchy material like the dead grass on the ground to help hold that soil moisture, I'll often get pretty decent germination out of it. Now right here where this teosinte is growing and there's a lot more biomass, sometimes I need larger seeded cover crops in here just so that they can break through some of that mulchy material. So that's why in this mix I decided to go on and go to the farm supply store, and I purchased some Austrian winter peas to grow in this part of the cover crop mix, and I also added some rye and some other things to grow in it as well. So in order to get this to germinate well, if I go on and mow it, I mowed this with my zero-turn lawnmower, and I should have just gone on and added the flail mower to the tractor. It would have been a much more uniform mowing. It would have been a much more uniform dispersal of the leafy material from the cover crop that's there. Here you can see some buckwheat coming up that's just reseeding itself. That's what you're seeing right there. The rest of this, instead of mowing with a lawnmower, I'm going to go on and mow with the flail mower. It's a little bit more work to put together, but I get a much better result. I'm going to go on and broadcast my seed in this paddock. The pig's water is in this paddock. You can tell that I can just close it off right there. So if I don't get the pigs out of that field, I can at least get them out of this one right here. I'll just have to kind of see how that goes. But for now, I'm going to go on and get started seeding. I just got this paddock overseeded. Sorry, I just got shocked by the electric fence and my whole body is tingling. It was only about 6,700 volts, but it hit me just right, so I'm feeling it for some time now probably. But I got this paddock seeded. I went on and purchased some cereal rye and daikon radish to mix with it. So what I've got is 4 or 5 pounds of daikon radish, about 20 pounds, 15 to 20 pounds of cereal rye. I added some Austrian winter peas, but in addition to the Austrian winter peas, of course, I added about 3 or 4 pounds each of dwarf Essex rape and purple top turnips. And I also added some Balanza clover left over from last year. One thing that I'm finding is that, especially with cool season cover crops, that sometimes you have to try several different things and just kind of see how they work in each soil type. What I'm really going for is some quick forage. The buckwheat, if it can go to seed by then, it'll be great. But if not, the forage will be good for them. But also the brassicas, especially the clover, is not going to do much. Neither is the Austrian winter peas. But I may get some decent forage value out of the cereal rye as well. And of course, all of those things will overwinter well. Although honestly, the Balanza clover is probably the only thing that'll do really well over winter here, because this tends to be a wet field. We'll just have to see. But hopefully, if we can get enough soil moisture in the next few days or in the next week or two, hopefully this stuff will germinate, and then I can graze it come November or so, after the pigs come out of the woods from eating the acorns. We'll just have to kind of wing that and see how it goes. I'm going to turn the camera around though and just show you what the ground looks like after I've mown it. So you can see that there are some areas of semi-decent bare ground and some areas where there's some material lightly spread over the ground. We'll see how things come up, you never know. But I would think that I should get some decent forage out of this, some decent growth. We'll just have to see how it goes. There are some of this crabgrass along with Vasey's grass and a couple others that are not particularly easy for stuff to grow through. But then you can also see here, like there's a good bit of residue on the ground in some of these areas. And when you get into situations like that, it seems to me that the larger seeded crops have a little bit more energy to bust through that compared to the clovers. But you never know. We'll just see how that comes up. Now this is 7/10 of an acre. I mowed it with my zero turn. It's rough ground, so I go real slow on it. Realistically, I've got that acre plot right there that the pigs are in. It's got sorghum sudan grass coming up. And if we get some rain in another week or two, I plan on overseeding it and mowing it real low to the ground. But what I'm going to do is use the flail mower on the tractor and mow it much lower. The zero turn just takes too long, and honestly, the tractor with the flail mower is really the best product to use. I'm glad that I got this field overseeded. I'm also glad that I got it mown. However, using the zero turn was really a boneheaded move. It's not designed for that, and I should have just used the flail mower. But if all you have is a regular lawnmower, you can do that in smaller plots of land. I did not get much rain, but again, I'm glad that I got it. Now it's ready. Once we do get enough soil moisture, it's ready to go on and start growing. My main purpose is to see if I can plant some fall seeded cover crops without disking the soil at all. If I want to guarantee a good stand, I need to disc the soil because I don't have a no-till drill. But I'm just trying a few different ways to see how we can get it going. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care. Have a great day.